Okay,
Welcome.
my name is Matilda Osei from the Office of the Registrar of Companies. And because time is fast spent, I will proceed because I wasn't hearing, getting the feedback. So basically, the Office of the Registrar of Companies is a new but old institution because it has been hived from the Registrar General's department that we all knew about 58 years ago. So on 23rd July 2022, the hive was done and launched at Kempinski by the president. So currently, the Office of the Registrar of Companies is there to register businesses, regulate, and then educate the public. Basically, that is what we do. In addition, we also see to the liquidation of companies. That is, if a company is not doing well, the administration of it, the restructuring, and then following to the liquidation of the company. So basically, we do this aspect compared to when we were with the registrar general that we're adding marriages, estate administration, and other things to company registration. So basically, this is what we do. And if you want to register a company, wherever you are, you can even register online, provided you have your tax identification number, which you need your passport or your Ghana card to do that registration. When you have your TIN number, you can go on our portal and then you can register and register the company with your partners. So you need to have a name in mind, at least 3 names on a scale of preference. The name should not be misleading or undesirable. That is the company's name. And if you are a foreigner, as the GIPC man was speaking about, you need to meet the minimum equity. There are a few changes that will be done, but I think it's not conclusive yet. So for now, if you are doing registering and you are in trading, import and export, you have to start with something like $1 million as your foreign equity because you need to pay the stamp duty at the Office of the Registrar of Companies. If it's a service industry without a Ghanaian as a shareholder, it's $500,000 as your minimum equity, CD equivalent. If it's joint venture with a foreigner and a Ghanaian in service industry, then the equity is $200,000 for the foreigner. And then that is what you pay the stamp duty on as a foreigner. Representing 90%, then the 10%, the Ghanaian will pay that. If you are a Ghanaian and you want to register, every indigenous Ghanaian can start the business with 500 Ghana cedi. It's allowed. If it's a sole proprietorship, you're a foreigner, or you're a Ghanaian and you're in the diaspora and you want to register a sole proprietorship, you're a Ghanaian, it's allowed. You can register your business. And you don't need any minimum equity. You can do what we call the sole proprietorship or the business name regulated by the Business Name Act. 2 people can also register what we call the partnership incorporated. Normally, you prepare a partnership agreement, execute it at Land Valuation Board, and then you add it to the registration document, and then you can proceed with the registration. We also register charitable organizations, NGOs, companies that don't have the aim to make profit. We do register them. Unless the company is being wound up and then the people have to contribute to a certain amount to close it or give it to another similar charitable organizations. With that one, there's no minimum equity. You just have to pay for the registration fee for registration of churches, charitable organizations, and all that. So basically, these are the registration that foreigners can do. Besides that, or Ghanaians residing or domiciling in other jurisdictions. Besides that, we have another registration called external companies. External companies are companies that have their branch registered or their parent company is registered in another jurisdiction, but they want to have a liaison office or a branch in Ghana. So the company, most of the airlines are external companies. So the companies are registered in the parent company, but they just want to have a branch because of their modus operandi or how they want to be seen. So such companies, you need to provide us with the registration documents. If it's not in English, it needs to be in English, translated, notarized by the Ghana Mission or any notary republic from where the company was incorporated. It is very cogent to us because when companies are registered in other jurisdictions, we don't have the eagle eye to see. Maybe they are even in liquidation, maybe they've been involved in other scam, maybe anything, and they want to rush and then come and invest in Ghana. So we are careful with that, and then we always demand that notary, or if it's an American company, the document can be brought to American embassy. If it's a UK, I mean, wherever authentication can be done before the document is brought to us is very important to us. So that is done, and then they can complete the forms for registration. So basically, these are the types of entities that an individual, whether a Ghanaian or foreigner, or whether somebody have dual citizenship. Because recently, I've had about 3 Chinese, 3 Indians coming to our office to change their status of registration. They used to be Chinese. Now they've stayed for more than 25 years. Some have married, and then now they have the dual citizenship, and then so they don't need that minimum equity to register their business, and it's allowed. So I can see the topic was more of the dual citizenship. So if you're a dual citizenship and your everything is gone through, you can register just like any normal indigenous Ghanaian can register. You can even have a sole proprietorship if that's what you want, as a form of one of the registration. So you can register that. So we need the name, as I said, the name of your business. You give us 3 names on a scale of preference. A search will be conducted. You can even do it yourself, because sooner or later we'll be just going all out online. So everything have to be done online. So you need to check your name. And as I've said, I'm repeating it again, the name have to match very well with the nature of business. Some people register their businesses and then you see that the registration that they've done, they said that Kwadwo Menu Construction. Under it, then they are telling you that they are doing fashion. So it doesn't gel. So the name should not be misleading or undesirable. Undesirable meaning you cannot just choose any name that you actually want. The name have to be a name that is accepted. Sometimes, if in a language that we don't understand, the registrar have the powers to ask you to interpret the name so that we know what the name actually means. You need to let us know where the business will be located. Sometimes the principal place of business might be different from where their office is. So let's say, for example, Anglo Gold Ashanti, they do their business at Obuasi, but the office is at Gold House. So if you have something like that, you need to state it on the form. In addition, some companies also have their register of members also situated in other place. Same in Ghana here. So let's say Anglo Gold Ashanti, their principal place of business is at Obuasi. Registered office is at Accra, Kaokudi. Register of members might be in Cape Coast. So when you are filling the forms, you need to state that as well. Of late, we do take digital address. So if you are registering and you don't have digital address, it's a problem to us. You need to stand very well on your compass so you can give us the accurate location for the digital address. Still, we do the postal address if it's the private mail bag, if it's the door to door, if it's the normal GPAS, you have to complete it. Somebody will say JM. Let us know, maybe it's Manprobi GP, General Post Office, AN, Accra North. So we want those kind of vivid direction, even with the postal address. Then we also need accurate telephone numbers. People give us numbers, you realize that one letter is missing. And we need this because of notification. Companies do register and then they say they don't get notification, because if you don't give us the accurate address, you might not get any notification. We want to communicate with companies as much as we can. So that is also important. Then we also need to know, if it's a company, the directors. The directors are those who are going to do the mundane work for the company. They do what the shareholders are interested. So the minimum directors that a company may need to register a company is minimum of 2 by law. That is what the law says. Minimum of 2 directors you can register a company. You need a company secretary. A company secretary should not just be any other person. Section 211 and 212 of the Act 992, that's the Companies Act, shows who qualifies to be a company secretary. So a company secretary should be somebody, either a professional, a lawyer, a chartered accountant, or a company lawyer, a company law trainee, somebody who have been trained, or you belong to a professional body, and then you should be in good standing, and then you should be, of course, morally sound. So, and then the person should also be sound in mind. So the qualities or the qualification of the secretary, it should also be legible. Companies can also play the role of secretary. So a company can be the company secretary of a company, is also allowed. Just that it have to be represented by a human being. Now, companies, when you want to register, you need an auditor, external auditor, who will prepare your accounts. After the first 18 months, you need to have your AGM, or the registrar can compel you so much to have your AGM. It's important that you have your AGM. Shareholders will see the accounts, they will agree, and then they will sign. Then you file the accounts with us when you've registered and you've gotten your certificates. So auditors are important. Besides auditors, when you are filling the forms, now we have a form called statutory declaration. The statutory declaration is the mandatory form, because you are going to tell us that you've not been involved in crime for the last 5 years as a company director. So the statutory declaration forms, we've made it in a way that you need to tick. So you just take the company registration forms, you need to take them, and then you will just admit it. And then the consent as a director. Now we've designed everything, so all that you have to do is to print it, and then you need to complete the form, the consent form as a director, giving your own consent to be a director of a company. So that have to also be done. And then you can do that. And then the shareholding structure, you have to also let us know who the shareholders are. In fact, we don't come in, you are registering your company. So you tell us how you are going to run the company, and who will be the custodian of that information. Make sure you are legalized. We legalize you. We give you certificates of incorporation, and then we give you a Form 3, the company constitution. Those days it used to be regulation. And with the company constitution, we have two arms of it. We have the registered constitution, and then we have the standard. Some people, by law, you need directors. You say minimum of 2 directors, maximum of 5. Somebody want to go above, so you need to state your own directors, the number that you want, and then you need to prepare your own standard constitution. We'll admit it. If there are, normally the first 10 constitution is normally the same, but from there, in terms of meeting proxy, other people want to change it to fit their system. So with that one, we allow you to bring your own registered constitution. What we do is that we admit it, we scan it into our system, and then we reproduce it for you. It's not because you have your own constitution, so you keep your own constitution. It's not allowed. We have to see it, we have to admit it, and then we will reproduce what you have for you with a stamp or a watermark logo, so that you can use it and it will be admitted by other institutions. So these are also needed. Besides that, as a company, you need to have your equity, the amount you are starting your business with. If it's all done by Ghanaians and it's not a specialized business where they will tell you that your equity have to be this way, like let's say a bank. If you want to open a bank, Bank of Ghana expect that you have the minimum equity for bank. If it's not something like that and it's something generic, with 500 Ghana cedi, you can start a business. 500 Ghana cedi, you can start a business. That is the equity. You need that equity to start the business. So that is allowed. So once you have the equity, you let us know the authorized shares, out of it, what you want to issue to the shareholders, you state all with the consideration. So all these things have to be done. And then when everything is complete, then you can pay the statutory fee, and then we'll process it and issue you with the certificates the beneficial ownership and all that. There's also something called beneficial ownership. Beneficial ownership are people who have interest in the company's assets and all that, voting rights. Sometimes they are not the same people that register the company. They are behind the company, but you don't see them. They are like shadow directors, but they control the company. So we have a form that you have to fill. It's called BO form. You have to state that the information you are telling us is the same. Sometimes people think the legal shareholders are the same as the BO. Sometimes it's not like that, because somebody is behind who control. You are a shareholder, but you don't have a mouth. Somebody tells you every morning, do this, do that, direct you. So it means that person is the BO. That person is controlling the company. So when you have something like that, you need to let us know and then state it, so that the BO forms will be complete. So basically, when you have this requirements, then you can register a company. If it's a sole proprietorship, then basically everything is going to be about that person, that particular individual. Just as I said for company, most of the things will not reflect in the sole proprietorship. With sole proprietorship, basically the name of the company, the nature of business, where the business will be located, the applicant residential address, date of birth, marital status, and then the date of registration basically is done. And then you can have your business name registration done. If it's registration of a partnership, that is 2 up to 20 people coming together to form partnership, then the partnership agreement must be concrete. It must be done well, agreed by all parties, and then they will stamp it at Land Valuation Board. With partnership agreements, or normally partnership registration, is not common. The reason why it's not common, because the people entering into the partnership have to have understanding of the partnership agreement, because you can't go outside the agreement. Is binding. So if we state that we are partners, and then our office have to be at Mamubi, all partners have to agree that Mamubi. So you will not change the office. Even if you have to change, you have to change it in the partnership agreement. And then if we agree that our bank will be Ghana Commercial Bank, Mamubi, there is no way that one person can even go and open account at Ghana Commercial Bank or GCB, let's say High Street. No, it had to be in the partnership agreement. How we are going to share profit in case of death, in case of any vacancy, sickness, what goes back into coffers of the company, everything have to be arranged. And then you add it to the registration document and register it. Partnership registration is the only registration that the partners' names appear on the certificates. So it's normally registered by chartered accountants. Most professionals prefer partnership. And in the absence of one person, the partnership ceases to exist unless there's a supplementary partnership agreement. And then I also spoke about the charitable organizations, what we call the limited by guarantee, or the non-governmental organizations. So those organizations, their aim is not to make profits, but they can get something to sustain it. But the aim is not to make profit, because basically maybe you've been blessed, you want to help people in society, your community, wherever. You have to help people with education for them to upgrade in life. You want to give them skills or anything. You can do it through this kind of registration. That is the NGO, non-profit or non-governmental NGO is accepted. And then I spoke about the external companies that are registered in other jurisdictions but want to have the liaison office in Ghana. We say that the company needs to have a local manager who the company will give a power of attorney to that local manager. You cannot come and operate. The company that is appointing you, that has prepared these documents, stamp it, will have to add the power of attorney. Sometimes they add the number of years that this manager will head this company in Ghana for the first 4 years. Subsequently, it will be changed. So the local manager can be changed at any time according to how the company wants. Anytime they can revoke that power. It's a power. So it can be revoked at any time. Once the company tells us and bring a new person, we'll register that person as well. So besides that, and then we have the normal limited liability company, whereby you have the aim of making profit that I've explained. And then we have one type called business name subsidiary. We are trying to change the name to corporate business name. So assuming I have a company registered, let's say Mendel's Company Limited, and I want to, for tax purposes and for directions, I want to have another company or another entity under it, maybe a small construction. I can register that type of entity, but it had to be signed by one of the directors or the shareholders of the main company, because we demand the main company name, the main company number on that registration. That's how the forms has been designed, and then the person representing it with the company stamp if necessary or the seal. So that can also be done for the business name subsidiary. That type of entity is also allowed. So besides, I'm not going to go into public companies, but public company also exists. Public company basically are companies that can make invitation to the general public. So if you want to be a company that you can ask people to come and buy shares, you can ask people to come and contribute into the company, then, and you want to the whole world to know about it, then the company have to be a company, public company. I think not too long ago, MTN became a public company. I think it's quite some time now, and then they turned the Scancom into a public company so that people can deal with them. So recently, our new law, there have been some changes. Section 21 of our new Act 992 states that any company that is registered in Ghana should have a suffix. The suffix is the last ending of the company's name. Let us see what you are doing. It's very, very important for all our listeners and viewers. So if you are registering a company or you are dealing with a company, and the company, we don't want the kind of men's gold and DKM issues again. So if you are dealing with a company, for you to know that the company can make invitation to the general public, then you should know the ending of the company's name. So now when you are dealing with a company, if you're a procurement person, you are entering into contracts, you have to open your eyes. We have stated it, we have given a lot of press releases that companies should change their names because we want to see the surfaces. So let's say if a company is limited liability, the ending, you can have Kwajo Menu Ltd or Kwajo Menu Limited as in full and then company. Now, by law, these are the only two options. Either your company name will end with Ltd or it will end with limited in full with company. If it is a non-governmental organization, you are going to add it limited by guarantee or LBG. You have to add it. If it's a public company, at the end of the day, we want to see it PU, ending. So the law says that is what has to be done. So that is what we are also accepting. So if you are also doing business and somebody is bringing a registration document, you should know the category where the person falls. So that straight away you know that this company is a company not to make profits. So what kind of contract are they entering with me? You have to be careful and look at the document. That is why we say that it's like everybody have a name. For identity and recognition, we have to make sure that the ending of companies' names are important to us. So I think basically these are the few things that I will let you know, unless there are questions that you want me to answer.
Mrs. Matilda Osei, we're so grateful, and it is well educative.